downtown. There's a lot of Polish people there too. And as soon as the police came, they'd be like, yeah, it ain't us. They put their flags away and walked away. But there's like, it's the brown people over there. And they got arrested. No, but that didn't really happen. But, they were there. So they blend in, even someone for me that's Latino, right, that looks white, I could blend in and pretend and be like, yeah, but then you give up all your identity, right? You give up who you are. But as far as most of our community is brown in some shade, either direction. And one of the things about that is that there's a misconception that immigration is only a problem in the United States. I was living in Spain for a year. This was before the summer came up. I was living there for like 11 months. And they have a huge immigration problem. That's because anywhere we had a superpower or world power take advantage of another community or use their resources irresponsibly, you basically have a conduit from people from those communities into that country. So in Spain, it's a huge problem. You go to France, I don't know if you've seen a few years ago where there was all these kind of riots in the suburbs, and people get confused because the suburbs in France are the ghettos. People are like, oh, why were they rioting in the suburbs? Because that's the hood, that's why. So they were rioting in the hood. It was like North Africans and Algerians that were rioting, and they were rebelling, right, against the unjust treatment of their communities. So we got to take it out the frame of a U.S. problem. And then we also got to think historically what has taken place for the last few hundred years, starting with the Monroe Doctrine in Latin America. There's a lot of complexity. So this story is about a woman named Elvira Arellano. I don't know if anyone has ever heard of Elvira, but about 5 years ago, she went into a church, and she stayed there for 1 year because they wanted to deport her. And so basically in that process, she said, if you want to deport me, you have to come in front of the world and take me out. And the way the story started is that Elvira was working in an airport with a fake social security number, cleaning the floor of the airplane. Anyone ever seen, when you come out of an airplane, you may see some brown people standing around waiting with yellow vests or orange vests, and they run in real quick? Well, it's the people that clean the plane. So next time you throw some Fanta on the ground, you're saying, just remember that they're going to be cleaning it up. So they went in and cleaned it up, and so she basically was labeled a terrorist, and they came into her house really early in the morning with machine guns, kicked down her door, took her out by gunpoint with machine guns, 6 officers, and grabbed her son, which is a U.S. citizen, and pulled them out and arrested them. So over another 3 or 4 years, there was a big debate about her. And Elvira basically refused to be deported and wanted to be deported in front of the world. She said, you can deport me, but do it in front of the world to show the process. She got in Time magazine, she was all over. This happened about 2 blocks from my house. So with that, eventually she was deported and she works in Mexico. But I wanted to tell her story because it's just not about, like I said, I write from a perspective of being a Latino. But I would hope that you would feel the humanity that takes place, because all of us can relate at some point in our histories that our families were either brought here and forced here in chains and other ways, or our families were forced here economically because our communities were starving, or because we didn't have a good opportunity there, and simply just wanting to improve our life. And sometimes when you're in a desperate situation, you'll do desperate things. And she did that. So this poem is about her, and about her as a Mexican woman. I wanted to document not understanding the Mexican woman, but telling her story from a perspective from the outside. So this is called She. I'll do one more piece after this, and please visit my table and hang out with me. So I'm gonna do this one and one more. Is that cool? Got you? That good? We good? We good? Okay. Well, either way, I'm gonna do it, so I don't know what to say to you. I can't help it, man. I get on the stage and start clowning. So here's She. She, the warrior, she, the mother, she, the fighter, standing against all odds, refusing to be an object of an unjust power structure that yearns to objectify her with the only object being that she is objected to the pain of power. She objects to the same structure that values plastic and products over flesh and soul. She fighting this new war that is not new to us. She fighting with beautiful poetry of sanctuary. She the warrior of her people, fighting not for herself. No, that would be too easy. But fighting for all of those who have been pulled away by night, stolen away from their children, their families, disappeared, ripped apart from all they know, arrested and cuffed at work, shipped away to be the products that they toiled to create. This country, disinfecting this nation of what they believe to be a parasitic problem as she, they, we, you, cleaning their kitchens, their airports, their homes, their restaurants, their streets, their churches, their universities, at gunpoint breaking into our homes with papers that make it legal to steal human life. She was a reflection of Tonetsin, of La Virgen, of Adelita, of Emma, of the Mexican people. She's a reflection of you, of me, of you, of us, of we. She's a reflection of our struggles and our victories. She who gave her freedom for more than 1 year. She was facing and confronting all that is unjust, fighting the real illegalities of human rights. She who had fasted so yet others can eat, while yet others can feast on the malnourishment of the rest of the world. She who blocked the shining light of 50 white stars, taking their cosmic power, exposing them for the hypocrites that they are. The Kutu Bushli consumed his brothers and his sisters. She who bore the scars of 7 red stripes of modern-day slavery. She who bore 6 white blisters on her hands and feet from years of work. She who displayed dark blue bruises from brutal laws of man. She who brought those powers to a standstill. She who made those powers have to face their fears. She who inspired the dreams of the dead and woke the world to beautiful yellow flowers adorned with red roses, making believers out of non-believers like Juan Diego for those who did not want to understand. She the child separated from his mother. She the daughter in school paying full tuition, unable to receive financial aid. She the man selling paletas on every street corner. She the woman selling tamales, mango, sandia. She the young man cooking, making the best Mexican, Italian, Chinese, Greek food in the city. She the woman taking care of children that are not hers. She the young gang member has no hope, sells drugs to his own people. She the loving father and mother working 2 jobs each to pay the rent. She the young, optimistic, activist poet dreaming that they can still change the world. She simultaneously her and us, they and we, the duality of the Mexican soul, the living and the dead, the Christian and the pagan. She very much her, but she very much us. She Elvira Arellano, we are all Elvira Arellano.